Hello, this is the May Be Mindful podcast, and I am your host, Hannah May. I'm a mother of 6, conscious birth instructor and educator, spiritual growth facilitator, and certified hypnotist. This podcast is about inspiring hope, expanding awareness and consciousness in order to revolutionize the way we live and experience our lives. You can expect thought-provoking episodes each week spanning a range of topics, drawing from both my own journey of transformation and healing and working with others. I hope you find this podcast to be informative, refreshing, illuminating, and instrumental in your own soul's evolution and growth. Let's jump right in. Hello, gorgeous ones. Welcome back to my podcast. Hannah May here. Listen, I know I talk a lot about radical concepts. I talk specifically about radical self-care, radical acceptance, but I want to talk today about something that is so important that is going to restore you to authority in your being, which is radical self-responsibility. Now, this is something that we tend to want to shy away from because it can sometimes feel more work and effort than it might be worth, and it doesn't maybe pan out for us in our mind as being worth it. But here's the thing, stay with me for a moment because it is the thing that's actually going to make your experience so much more livable. And it's going to be holding it down for you, like holding the field. You're going to be holding it down for yourself and really being in your power by doing this. Now, it challenges things in us. Yes, it challenges our ego. It challenges humility, and the ego does not like humility. It fights back against that. It doesn't want to feel vulnerable. It wants to be in its power, and that's good, okay? But this is where we get to show up for ourselves as our higher selves and really meet ourselves and be like, you know what? I got you. And we don't eject our ego. We don't reject it. It's not a part of us that's bad or wrong. It's part of our humanness. And as one of my mentors said, it's really all about a dance with our ego. So I want to talk about radical self-responsibility and how we can really support ourselves and be clear, access intuition, and feel at peace in our relationships, especially. And our relationships are so important and impact us so much. So, you know, a few days ago, by the way, I'm in Florida right now and I'm in my AirPods. I hope the sound's panning out for you okay. I didn't bring my microphone. I forgot it in the flurry. I had to pack my whole family up because I got clear that it was better that we left this massive snowstorm and projected ice storm that was coming in. So I packed my family up and we all went to Florida. Now, I had a hard time making this decision because I was getting into the cerebral maze with it. Like, okay, is the media like overdoing it a little bit here? Is the weatherman God? No, so far, the weatherman has not been shown to have all seeing power. And oftentimes it's wrong, and the projections are sort of alarmist and catastrophic. But I did really want to make the right decision for my family. Did it feel like a pain in the ass to drive 8 hours in the event that I might have to turn around a couple of days later if school was not canceled and all my teenagers are freaking out because they have assignments and presentations due? Yes. Which is funny to me, by the way, because teenagers like just want a sick day all year whenever they feel like it. Yet, if they're faced with the possibility of like chaos or disaster or adrenaline of like ice storms and sliding around in the snow and trees falling over, they want to stay. And I get that. I totally get that. They're living for the moment and their priorities are a little different to mine. But in that, I was challenged to really get clear. And so the thing that helped me shift into clarity was really just getting present and praying and just being open and being like, I don't actually know. I can't really figure this one out. I was open, and then what came in was desire. And it was the desire to just come and be in a place that felt really good near the ocean, to put my feet in the sand, to get grounded. And so I'm so grateful that we were able to do that. So here we are. But in that process, I have gotten so much pushback from my irrational, they're like drunk toddler monkey teens, okay? Like they are so confrontive in this for me because they're only wanting to be there. They're not able to live in the moment. They're acting like this is like a life sentence in prison, right? We're at the beach. And naturally, these thoughts come up as a parent. First of all, it's very triggering. And you want to change that because you want harmony in your home. But the things that come up also are like guilt and things like self blame, even. So I'm like, did I not cultivate enough gratitude? Did I not cultivate a sense of joy? Why do all my teens want to get away from me? And personalizing it. And this is one of the challenges of parenting, like not personalizing things. And if I like connect to my own inner teen, I totally relate to them. I'd be like, this is bullshit. This is so boring. I want some excitement. My friends are driving around in dangerous weather conditions. I get that. So the idea of radical self-responsibility versus shifting into their lane and trying to like manage them or change them somehow in order to make it more manageable for myself is not taking responsibility for myself. It's very indirect. The most direct way to me, to taking responsibility, to shifting my state, is back to me. So, what that looked like was, first of all, a moment of defeat, which precedes a surrender. And it doesn't have to be massive or big. I'm not losing a war. I'm honestly just confronting my feelings and acknowledging this is the truth of how I'm feeling. And so humility is really the vehicle, and acceptance is really the vehicle, I believe, that gets us there. Now, we don't have to like something to accept it. If we did like it, we would already accept it, and then there'd be no work for us. But that is part of our spiritual growth and part of our work. So taking responsibility for myself in this way looks like getting my own needs met. So it looks like connecting with other like-minded fellows and not being reliant on the approval of my teens, not moving into self-judgment with it and doing what I need to do in order to come out of that, because those are all natural human inclinations. And we tend to go to these places. And of course, our family members and our closest relationships are going to trigger the things that have the most emotional resonance for us and bring these things up.
So this example feels pertinent, and this is in relation to my family. Our closest relationships are the ones that are going to be the most challenging for us, that are going to bring the most up, that are going to mirror back to us aspects of ourselves that we're needing to address. And staying centered and grounded in that has been everything. Not projecting has been everything. So the things that came up that felt confrontive to me, instead of moving into victim with that, how did I take care of myself? Becoming open to clarity, becoming open to new perspective and new sight. I don't have to worry about pleasing everybody. I can be respectful, but it's not my job to make people happy. And the moment that I dip over onto their side of things and I start projecting outward and wanting to change or fix it through my own judgment of what it should look like, then I immediately move into control. So that's controlling. If I think it's my job to teach a lesson, that's control. That's not my job. I am not the arbiter of justice. That's not my job. Like, that's God's job. And life has a natural way of teaching as long as I stay up in my lane and I handle myself properly and I stay in my own agency and I come from a place of love and kindness and sometimes firmness, like holding a boundary for other people. And so naturally fears are going to come up in this, right? Like, oh, people being disappointed, people being angry, fear of conflict, like whatever comes up for you is the thing that you're going to have to anchor back into your power with in order to stay the course on something. Now, shifting gears in romantic relationships, in our partnerships, this can be especially confronted. And there's this idea of showing up 50-50. Now, this is really a delusional belief because rarely is it ever going to be 50-50. And if it is, you might not see it anyways because you might be looking at something incorrectly. But seeking balance is natural, and we're always perpetually seeking balance because it's always in flux, and we're always to some degree moving out of balance, which is always a call to move back into it. But it is an ongoing and evolving process. It's not like a setting that like we lock in and then we ignore it. We always have to be self-attuning and restoring this within ourselves. And the only way that we can do that is by taking responsibility. So this idea that maybe in my perception in that moment that I'm only 1% at fault for something, and maybe the other person in my mind in that moment is 99% at fault for something. Taking radical responsibility for myself means taking responsibility for my 1%. And why do I do that? I do that because it restores peace. It puts me back in my agency and power, and I don't have to be dominated by this sense of either unfairness or imbalance or whatever it is. Even in a situation where it's an unwell dynamic, if somebody is being inappropriate, taking responsibility literally looks like removing myself, and obviously boundaries and self-care come into this. But it does not serve me to be in blame. It never serves me or anybody else to try and change or manage and control them. And so, for example, in our relationships, we're most confronted by where our partners don't do what we think they're supposed to, like where they don't follow our script. And this is honestly very self-serving. Our ideals might be really good. Our ideals might be healthy. But the moment that we cross over into trying to manage somebody else, it becomes very quickly unhealthy. There's self-abandonment in it. There's avoidance in it. And we have stepped out of our power. So is it humbling to take responsibility for my 1%? Is it sometimes deflative and defeating to say, wow, I feel so disappointed. Like I feel so disappointed. And accepting this disappointment feels scary. It might be triggering a lot of fear. But the thing is that our fear is just future tripping. Our fear is a non-event, as I have mentioned before, and it's not based in reality. And the best way that we can support ourselves is by taking responsibility for ourselves in that fear that comes up. And sometimes in partnership, the most powerful and effective thing we can do, which also can feel sometimes the most powerless because we can't necessarily change something, because you'll probably notice if you're in any relationship for any period of time that you can help so many people around you, but you might not be able to help the person that you most love with something, like a family member. That's not your job. Your job is not to necessarily fix them. What if your job is just to witness them? And what if that is the greatest service that you can provide? Now, in witnessing somebody versus really getting in there and making change with them, that can be really challenging because there's radical acceptance in that they are where they are. And then there could be grief in that. There could be grief in something that you wish was different or something lost. But this is really an act of love, is to really witness somebody and then to be available for the abundance that is actually available in that, instead of trying to push or move or manipulate or control or change. Really witnessing is very humble. There's a lot of surrender in it, and there's a lot of powerful opportunity in it because it really opens up the field for this divine infusion to come in when you stop, essentially, as we say in program, playing God, right? We allow God to be God in that. And so those are really my thoughts. And, the other thing that can come in as a really powerful tool is to really tap into deep, deep gratitude and really cultivate that in order to just really dip into the field of that and be in the energy and the vibration of that, because that alone is so transformative. And our reality is based on our perception of it, and our thoughts dictate the direction that we go and the path that we're on. So seeking that and cultivating that is such a service to ourselves, and it's a support because we're tapping into the vibration of something very sustaining, something much higher, and it is more in alignment with the truth than the former perception that causes you to feel lack. Lack is a lie and it's a limitation. And when people operate from lack, they manifest lack. And it has a really unfortunate snowballing, manifesting effect. We are co-creators, and I'm going to talk about that next time. I'm going to talk about transmutation. I'm going to talk about creativity, because it's such powerful, powerful topics for this year and really generating these things that we're being called to. Lots of love. I hope to get this uploaded for you in time. Let's pray my Wi-Fi cooperates. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to the May Be Mindful podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us grow and improve. For more information, resources, and exclusive content, visit our website at maybemindful.com, or go ahead and follow us over on Instagram at maybemindful. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please give me a follow, screenshot the episode, and go ahead and tag me until next week when I bring you another thought-provoking and inspiring topic. Until then,